you guys make this podcast successful enough that it can feed us.
Mm-hmm.
And I will show her face.
Yeah, once I'm like not malnourished and looking awful. Feed me.
When we don't look like
Please,
orphans.
please, sir, may I have some more?
I don't know what's going on with the hair. I went for a walk and it's
Slightly raining outside.
it's wet. Yeah. So now my hair is gonna be a little wet. Sorry.
Sorry about it. Why she wasn't wearing a hood? Who knows? Girl.
Hope opened the door again. She did it again. It's so funny because my dog literally kicks the door open.
Yeah.
She used to open it, but I think because I fixed the door, so now it like opens a lot easier. She's just like using the same amount of force, so it like fucking swings open every time. Anyway, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to As If, a contemporary art podcast with me, Lisa Fevral, and by Sisson.
Hello.
This is episode 22. Girl, we've got like two episodes left in this season, and then it's gonna be season 3, folks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Round of applause. I can't even do it.
We're gonna, you know what? We're gonna actually include by assistant in the photos for season 3 because she's a permanent fixture here.
Indeed.
And we need to figure out how we're gonna do that because I don't know if it's. Let me know if Tweety Bird is in public domain or not, because I don't think it is. So
What?
I think that if honestly, if the podcast starts to like do numbers or anything accidentally here or there, I don't know if it's gonna be copyright friendly.
You know what? Any good drawers out there? Put in your submissions for what I should look like in the cover.
Oh my god,
I'd be so down for that.
yes.
That'd be so fun.
Dude, yeah, draw her like how oh, like one of your French girls.
And you know what? You could be creative, be funny. I could take a joke.
Yes, nothing pornographic.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna
No.
put it out there because once again, like yeah,
yeah, and I will sue you.
yeah, into the ground, bitch. Is
Just
mine-
kidding. I have no money to sue, but I will find you where you live and kill you maybe.
Yeah, that's true. I will assist in that. I'll be
But-
assistant.
But we know that none of the fairies are weird people. Y'all are cool, and that's not going to happen. So
Yeah,
we're specifically talking to the weird stragglers who are just fucking weird.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Also, I want to announce something. Do you know Caleb Heron?
nope.
I know that you do. You know why?
Why?
Because you've met him before.
Huh?
He is my husband.
Oh.
Mm.
Oh.
He's that funny motherfucker. He was with Drew Alfwallow on her podcast.
Oh, okay.
And then he also had his own. Let me actually just show you the face.
I'm like, I actually don't know who he is. No, I have no idea who that is.
He's gay as hell.
Oh, well.
And he is my husband.
And I'm sorry. I'm uncultured, but
He doesn't know it yet.
Oh, he doesn't know it yet.
Yeah, but he's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
I will wife him up.
He's the wife.
He's the wife. Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. Like, I think that you guys just don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe I should just claim that he is already my wife because that's how sure I am
Yeah.
of my ability
To
do what's right.
domesticate him.
Yeah, actually.
I can believe that. I mean, 3's kind of a crowd, but whatever. I'm open to it.
You're
Sister
right.
wives.
You're right, but you're gonna love him.
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah.
I'd be down.
He's so funny, so creative. He's got a podcast as well, and he's so funny on that.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, he was born in 95, so
Oh, okay.
age appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll look into a 3-way prenup.
Okay. Good.
The assets, nothing.
Yeah.
Just style, swag, and sexiness.
Yeah.
That's all we have to give.
Yeah, that's the what is it called when you give the
Alimony?
No, it's
No, that's not.
not the
no.
endowment. What is it? Is it
Uh,
endowment?
I think it might be endowment. Dowry.
Dowry. Thank you. Dowry. That's the dowry, like being sexy. Sexy, gorgeous, smart as fuck. Too smart,
Funny
actually.
as fuck.
Funny, stylish,
You already know.
European.
Well,
That might be actually a negative.
anyways, we're here to talk about,
Berlioz.
yes, Symphonie Fantastique,
Symphonie Fantastique.
which we saw live
We saw it live, yes.
at the Orpheum Theater.
At the Orpheum in Vancouver. A beautiful place. Well, I mean, honestly, it's all right.
Yeah.
But I do vibe with it.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm gonna go somewhere in Vancouver to go see something, I'd rather be in that venue.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It's good for Vancouver. Would it be amazing in like Europe? Fuck no. It'd be like
It
what?
gives me the vibes of my little Siberian theater.
Yeah.
But
In Siberia, it's made out of like gold and marble. But in Vancouver, it's made out of paper mache.
well, the thing is, since I am from a like Siberian city, some of it is not out of the gold, because
Yeah.
like it is Siberia. But at the same time, we're old as shit. Like even the colonizer cities are old as shit.
Yeah.
So we've got some shit there.
Yeah. Just like it has like the real beautiful, intricate European
Design,
architecture,
yeah,
you know?
architecture.
But in Vancouver,
Girl, we need to return it. We need to return it. I
Yeah.
cannot look at modernist bullshit anymore.
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking kidding me? Everything's just white.
Oh, I
You
know.
walk into every room and you feel like, so you sterilize the walls barely. It's not clean.
Yeah.
They just give you a nasty feeling that you're in a hospital.
Yeah, every new apartment building in the city literally looks like... No, you know what? I'm not even going to say that. I was going to say they all look like asylums or like... You know what are those rooms called when you're like tied up and like... Oh, it looks like a mental institution. And I can say that because I was in one for like 2 months.
2?
Yeah, for a while.
When the fuck was that?
Way before I knew you.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
I would know, I feel like. But I don't
was-
remember you telling me that it was 2 months.
Yeah, it was a really long time. Well,
I didn't
anyways,
know they even did that. Unless you were like criminally insane.
no, like it's
They
like
do
it's
that?
like rehab, you know? It's like a rehab, like if you're a danger to yourself type of thing. But I would say even those
I've
rooms,
also been into
yeah,
one.
yeah, I would say even those places have more character than what these buildings look like. It's like plastic boxes.
Yeah, like they have a vibe. Those like mental institution places, at least they have a vibe.
Yeah, like
And they're
these
supposed to look like hospitals, and yet they still have a vibe.
do not us being like mental institutions are better than these
aesthetic slaps.
like better, but it's like these apartments are actually so decrepit to me. I hate them. It feels so sterile. It feels like everything is plastic and is about to break apart.
Because it is.
Yeah, like it's just not. No,
And then they go
it's not a vibe.
1,500,000.
Yeah, it's a pretty good price.
It's so fucked. Like I look at mansions in America that are like $5 million. Okay, let's translate it to Canadian dollars. It's gonna be what, 7 million?
yeah.
Compare that to 7 million mansions, houses in Vancouver, and you're gonna be like, what the fuck is this?
I know.
What is this?
Like rent nowadays for like a 1-bedroom, and half the time they're not even real 1-bedrooms. They're like a studio, but just like with a sliding glass wall.
It's never an actual one
Yeah,
bedroom.
it's like 2,800.
Yeah, it's actually so bad, you guys. I'm not even kidding. Like, and I know that you know this because many of you, in whichever city you're living, you know this shit is going on.
Yeah, it's
like,
not just here. It's fucking everywhere. It's fucked up. Anyways, back to the Symphonie Fantastique.
Yeah, so first and foremost, we went to this new way of presenting symphonies. What did they name it?
What do you mean?
There was like a name for it, like the experience, the new series that they created.
Search it up.
So funny. Announcing our 24-25 season, classic vibes.
That was the one thing I have to critique them on, is that who the fuck decided to do that copy? Don't use the word vibes.
You mean this?
Yeah. No,
Oh.
Remember they had that projected on the screens too? Classic vibes.
Oh.
I was like,
Got it.
I'm gonna shoot the millennial fucking copy person that did this.
Tell.
Well, it's okay. If we don't know the name of it, we could just explain what it is.
you can explain it while I'm looking for the
Okay.
symphony. Okay.
So anyways, the Orpheum, okay, I guess the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra decided to make a new way of presenting symphonies, which I feel like will draw a lot of like younger younger patrons, or even like art school patrons, because of how they have done it. I think it's very, very like, it's fresh, it's new, successful, it's very entertaining. So essentially they kind of go through how the music is composed, the history behind it and behind the person, and then they show examples, like little snippets performed by the symphony. Like, for example, if he's like, oh, I think an example that they did present was like, oh, like he used these very uncommon, I should not be talking about music, I don't know anything about it, Lisa probably knows more, but like, oh, these chords are very uncommon, and they would show, like the symphony would like play it for us so we can like hear it very cleanly.
Yeah, they would explain. So usually there's like for example, a theme of a character, right? Or they will explain a theme of a thing. Usually, like, for example, in opera or in symphonies or whatever, they like say like, oh, this is the blood theme. So whenever there's like someone getting stabbed or whatever, they start playing a specific melody, right? That kind of associates with this particular thing. And usually it's composed, depending on what time it was composed in, it's composed either by concept, so they would try to tell what this theme is by trying to create something, being like, oh, this note is associated with this thing, and like, let's build something around that or whatever, right? Or if they were more in like classical time, where they would just adhere to a lot of rules, they would just make a melody for the sake of the melody and rely on things like, oh, this is a minor, so it's gonna sound sad, this is a major, so it's gonna sound like bright or whatever. And with the way that they did this, instead of doing a random piece, because usually when you go to a symphony nowadays, at least, you go to a symphony and they play a random piece, then you have an break,
An intermission.
And then after the intermission, you get to listen to the actual piece that you came for. And in this case, they decided to replace that random piece with an explanation of the symphony. So there's 5 movements, and they explain what happens in each one of the movements. Speaking of movements and speaking of stories, right, this symphony is so famous because it was like one of the first times, if not the first time, when the composer actually had a story in mind for the piece. So it was very clear story that he wrote in a program. They write it in the programs, and usually you kind of, even, you know, like, programs are really helpful in one way, but they're also not that helpful when you're not familiar with the piece and you're reading it and they're like, then this happens and this happens, but you don't know when to actually listen for it. You're not actually aware when it's gonna come, what it's gonna sound like. So you oftentimes just kind of have like a very blind experience. Very deaf experience. In any case, in this time, they decided to actually explain what the hell is going on before the symphony, before playing it all the way through. And it was actually really great because the MC, the guy who was explaining it, was really funny. He had a good script. He was very personable.
It wasn't like pretentious or
wasn't
anything. It was
pretentious
so
at
enjoyable.
all. But it also, they weren't like, how you do, fellow kids, you know, like there wasn't like that either.
They also weren't trying to like be hip and young.
Or like,
besides that fucking classical vibes, still can't get over it.
Yeah. But it's like, I can forgive that.
Yeah, we'll forgive it.
Yeah.
It wasn't his fault.
Yeah. He's like pretty great. It was really funny. Well, it wasn't like, oh my god, I'm like dying from laughter, but it was like really well written in a way that it's funny, but it doesn't feel like a comedy special. Like, and it's not too imposing with the jokes.
Yeah,
do you know what
felt
I mean?
very like natural and free flowing. And
yeah,
I also love that after they did that and they played it all the way through, exactly what you said. Like it was like it's like actually reading the story, you know, versus just like going into it blindly. Like we really understood what was going on. Like the story, I could visualize it.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
after that.
It was really exciting the way that they explained it because, listen, I didn't used to go to symphonies. Now I do. Like, that's kind of like a thing for me now. But the reason why I started going is because I took a music appreciation class in university, and it was a really interesting experience that also gave me like a bit of a kick to stay in school, to stay in the arts.
Mm-hmm.
Because to be honest, sometimes I get so fed up of like privileged pricks
Mm-hmm.
and no arts, no like commitment, no soul, no nothing basically in the arts, that I forget why the fuck I even started this. Like, why am I even in it?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I genuinely cannot remember what I even liked about this when I get like too caught up in this like weird ass politic-esque conversations about people's identities instead of their art. Like, honestly, recently this is what it's become, and it's not because like, oh my god, they're so woke talking about their identities. No. It's literally because there's so many people who have to rely on cliches about their identities for the sake of making mediocre art,
Yep.
that it's hard to really see any of them in it.
Yeah.
Which is strange because it's like,
There's
it's
no
about
life
your
in it.
identity. It should be more like related to your soul, to who you are, yet it feels more removed because they rely on it like a crutch.
Yep. I agree. It's like lifeless shit. You could just feel it too
Yeah.
when you look at it.
And honestly, it was like, it was in the music department. It was music 300 something, whatever. So there were some people who were from the music, like classes, or not classes, but you know,
Me
like
too.
majors.
I don't know why I said it like that. Me too.
Come here.
It's all about you, girl, on your 16th birthday. Wait, what? Pause.
Who sang that?
We're not saying 16th birthday. That's weird.
Who sang that?
Oh, it's from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Great movie series.
Anyway, so actually the professor was really great. I actually loved that whole experience because they really explain a lot of shit that I honestly might not even be able to remember now, because there's like the A theme, the B theme, like how symphonies are structured, how this is structured, whatever. I couldn't tell you now. I will be able to like pick it up quickly if I need to, like if I need to quickly look it up and like remember, but I don't remember like all of the specifics. However, what I do remember is how much more interesting it was to actually know what the fuck I'm listening to, and how it changed the whole like experience. Second of all, how listening to a whole orchestra is so different, like in person, than listening to it in a recording. Whereas
Totally.
like sometimes concerts don't feel like that, to be honest, because they use a lot of amplifiers, and orchestras don't rely on that because they're in a small space, so they rely on acoustics, and it gives you like a different feeling, honestly. Also, I had like that experience when I went to listen to
Classic.
and I actually, because I've only heard this first movement, right? There's 4 movements in it, and I loved the second one when I actually learned about it, and there's no story to it because this is like they weren't really writing stories back then. The second one, it just hits. Like, there's just something in the second movement. This one is like really like intense or whatever, right? But the second movement just has something so beautiful in it. And I remember being in the theater and watching everyone, like this entire orchestra, moving together, like there's like sections starting to move together, playing the same thing at different times and then together and whatever. There's just something that reinvigorated my soul a little in that moment, because I was already starting to get like a bit jaded with school and with the arts, and every single day I would go to school and fight a bunch of bitches in class, like seriously. It was like third year, I think. I was starting to like, it started to get on my nerves, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know, maybe it was fourth year, but like the first semester, I don't know. In any case, and what really kind of gave me that feeling. And I honestly, when I was like a few years ago, I was better at telling this story because I remembered it more vividly. But it was basically the experience of realizing that all of these people, there's like 50 or 100 people on that stage, they all trained to play that specific instrument their entire lives.
Yeah, like the dedication and the hard
dedication
work.
from
and just the love of it.
And usually they literally played it since they were children. The years that went into it, right? And you can see different ages. So it's like some people who just entered the orchestra, some people who have been there for a while. You can see that they're like old, but they're like still in the orchestra and playing. And obviously they are, but like it's just nice to see different ages, not just like one age, just old people or just young people, right? And on top of all of that, there was something so defiant and so beautiful in terms of like the human spirit when it comes to seeing people working together for something like a symphony that was written so many years ago, that they recreate to this extent, that they worked for years to even learn their one instrument in this whole picture. And there's just something so beautiful about that when you're having like a really shitty day, when you're like having an existential crisis and you're like nothing makes any sense or whatever, and there's something so defiant about learning an instrument that has a function only in this specific context.
I totally get what you mean.
Playing a melody, playing a symphony that we liked so much that we preserve it for centuries. To also have an audience of people who keep on coming in to listen to it. There was something so beautiful about it that I was like, it reinvigorated my spirit. I was just sitting there like, and this is why we keep living. That's why we keep on being like born, and why we keep living that life.
I think it's also, it must have been like so cathartic to just like experience a piece of art where it's like you don't even need to understand. Like if it had a story, you wouldn't even need to interpret it or understand it, because the playing of the instruments are just so good. It's beautiful on its own. And like that would be so cathartic.
The skill,
like skill level, like they give a shit, and that's
give a shit.
That's what it is. Like, in art school, you see a lot of people who don't give a shit.
That's why I hate this like the type of people who are obsessed with AI. It's the same type of people who don't see any value in human life. It's the same type of people who will tell you like, 400 people died, so this one guy could make $1 million, but like they just weren't as based as he is. Do you know what I mean? Like it is just like this like disease of the soul, honestly. Like this type of people, I just look at them and I'm like, what happened? How did you end up like this? Who? Because the thing is, this feels like something nefarious, like something happened in nature that you happened like this. Like it just doesn't feel like you came to this by observing the world and using logic and stuff.
I agree with that, because honestly, there's a lot of people who have terrible upbringings but are still great people. So what's your excuse?
It's literally like you're a mistake.
You're
a glitch. Like what happened to you? Like why are you here? How did you end up here? That nothing, like it's just like, you know, something about those types of moments, observing people actually putting in work, observing people creating something that doesn't lend insane amounts of revenue, but they have so much respect for it and they're so good at it. And I honestly hope that there will be like this attitude will be preserved, not just for people who are in that orchestra, but for people who go and see it, and for people who just live their lives or whatever, that they will one day wake up and be like, I don't want to be a dropshipment loser. like they will wake up one day. They will have a cup of nice coffee with a glass of clear water, and it will just fucking clean those synapses. You know?
They
will finally fucking wake up.
It's like I wish every day that people would just stop trying to chase like these like spiritual moments, these grand spiritual moments. Like, I'm gonna travel in the world and then maybe I'll appreciate life. You know what I mean? Stop chasing that. Look up at the tree outside your house, look at the leaf and be like, realize some things, you know? It's that simple.
Like, there's nothing wrong with traveling.
No, I'm saying,
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean, honestly. It's just I know that there's a couple of people who I was talking to about this topic, and they were like, Lisa, you're so wrong. Because I told them, I was like, I don't really give a fuck about traveling for the sake of traveling. There's nothing in it for me to just, like, go and be there where I, like, don't know anyone. You know how, like, guys, especially, like, guys who are, like 35 and still dumb, they love to say that. They would, like, literally have a conversation with you being like, you just have to go to, like, Istanbul with just a backpack and, like, experience that.
And you, like,
oh my
learn
God,
everything
you dumb
about
whore.
life.
I can't. Like, use your brain. Begging, pleading, asking politely.
It's sad if you feel like you need to be constantly electric shocked into appreciating life and like the people around you. Like, if you feel like you need a big moment, like, do you know what I mean? Like a life changing, in bunny quotations, moment to start living your life every like 2 years, get yourself checked.
Also, like, what do you mean getting, like, when they say that, like, getting your, like, starting to live your life, whatever, I especially hate that those motherfuckers are the ones who find out that I had cancer and they're like, so now you're living, eh?
Yeah.
Now you got that appreciation for life.
I know, like, you had to go through that to appreciate it.
Bitch, I've been like that forever.
I know. Like, how?
You're so wise because you've had no, cancer was useless as shit, actually. Everything about cancer was just a nuisance.
Yeah.
And I got lucky that I fucking survived it, to be honest. But it's not gonna, like, I've said this once and I'm gonna say it 300 times. Actually, I should put it on a t-shirt and make it my fucking merch. Dodging a bullet won't keep you happy for long.
Yeah, totally.
Don't know what to tell you. You have to learn how to live without that adrenaline. You're gonna have to learn how to be appreciative or how to see life or how to experience it without having to conjure these experiences of dodging bullets just to feel something.
Yeah, exactly.
Whenever people bring that up about like cancer, I'm like, literally, my cancer experience was just me dodging a bullet.
Yeah. You didn't need to go through it at all.
I didn't need to. It was the exact same. It was literally, I was the same before. I'm the same after, except I have like medical trauma, I guess. How useful is that, bitch?
Bitch to those traveling bros who say that shit.
I know. Like, I'm like a nightmare incarnate for them.
Just end it there. I'm just a nightmare.
And dress like a danger. Taylor Swift. Miss Swift. I don't know. It just like bothers me about all of those people that they have like this attitude, and I've said that to some people. I was like, I don't care to travel just to travel. I would love to go somewhere where I would be doing something I enjoy, for example, with people who I love, so I can like have like new experiences or beautiful experiences with those people, right?
Yeah, totally.
Like going somewhere you want to like, if you want to really see something, or you want to go to like a place, or like try some specific restaurant and it's only in this place, whatever, right? That makes sense. But they want to travel for the sake of like saying that they've been there, or just like kind of checking a box or whatever it is, right? And it's like
or trying to find meaning, and that's really weird to me.
Yeah, going like, to places somewhere in the world being like, it's like those motherfuckers who moved to Russia being like literally a bunch of like Americans, they moved to Russia being like they live, you know, so much like closer to nature or something like that. They were basically saying that we're like more like conservative or whatever the fuck, right? And they moved there because they wanted to go back to like where everyone's like giving birth all the time or whatever stupid shit like that. And I was just like, yeah, okay, like, bitch,
you're a freak.
Yeah, it's so funny because like it's also a thing that people do all the time. Like they try to find meaning through other people's religions, other people's like cultures. They're like, Japanese got it right, and it's like, okay, first of all, look up their history.
I know, dude. I don't trust anyone who's a fucking nationalist
Bitch.
about their nation or any other nation. You're weird.
Right away, I'm like,
You're weird.
I'm creeped out.
Mhm.
And every time people are like, like mad at me for that, because for some reason, people, when they find out that you're from a country they don't like, they want you to be nationalist.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Like they like get so pissed you're not.
They get so pissed that you're like using your brain.
Yeah, and they're also
you're-
pissed because you're also not shitting on people.
Yeah.
Like they hate that combination. They want you to be a nationalist, or
So
they
they
want you
can-
to be a hater and a nationalist in the other way. Like pick a different country that you're gonna be like writing for.
Yeah. So, yeah. You're the problem. Actually.
You're the problem. Like why are you looking for this? Like it's just weird.
It is weird.
Anyway, we're moving too far away from symphonies. Regardless of all that, speaking of stupid fucks that are 35 years old, today we're gonna talk about Berlioz. Listen, I don't know if he's stupid. He's not. I think that he like made his first symphony when he was like 6.
He was pretty young. Yeah.
Slay.
Yeah. But was he a guy? Yeah, he was a guy.
He was a guy. Yeah. Like whenever you're like, oh damn, he like fucking built Taj Mahal or whatever.
Yeah.
And you find out what the fuck he was doing, and you're like, oh yeah, he was a guy.
Yeah.
Also, he didn't build it. A bunch of other people did.
But
He just told them to.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. In 1827, the 23-year-old Hector, his name is Hector, Berlioz attended a performance of Shakespeare's Hamlet in Paris. Harriet Smithson, a charismatic Irish actress, was playing Ophelia. Berlioz was smitten and wrote her an impassioned letter. Smithson did not reply. Undeterred, he continued to bombard her with messages, but she left Paris without making contact. First of all, slay. Good for her.
Yeah.
Second of all, it's crazy that he found a way to be an annoying ass texter back in 1827.
I know. Like, dude, how many fucking pigeons did you send her?
Pigeons. Ow, I bit my tongue. Yeah. Because I started laughing so much. Anyway, yeah, no, it's crazy. Berlioz wrote to a friend, "You don't know what love is. Whatever you may say. For you, it's not that rage, that fury, that delirium, which takes possession of all one's faculties, which renders one capable of anything." And it's like, okay, the rage.
It was so funny because when we were watching the symphony and they were explaining this, it was like almost like as if he's this really romantic guy, but me and Lisa were just side-eyeing each other, being like,
yeah, I know,
this motherfucking incel.
I know. The thing is, the guy who was telling the story, he was also kind of like poking fun at
him. Yeah.
But I think the reason why people are like kind of like not going as hard at the whole incel thing is because they did fall in love eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just such a drama king.
So drama. He's a drama king. He's a drama czar.
Yeah.
He's a drama
sultan.
He did his thing, like he was as dramatic as can be. And the funniest part to me that actually got me like hooked when we were sitting in the theater was the fact that they told us about what other artists and other composers were writing to each other about him. The drags.
Yeah.
The commentary was so
good. Just
like, it was delicious. I was gagging. I was like, listen, this was great.
Like those, I would love to just like bring those roasts back to the modern day. I would say that to someone.
We have that, but you know what? This is kind of like how like sometimes someone like Lorde said that Taylor Swift it sucks or something like that, and then they became friends afterwards or whatever. That's kind of like the type of shit.
Yeah.
Where they like have like beef and then they sort it out, and then someone comments on someone's album being like it's ass, and then they have another beef or whatever. Yeah. And but you know what? Back then, at least those people were so funny about it. Okay, first of all. Second of all, it's kind of like watching a video essay on YouTube on Dramageddon, where they're like talking the video about sucking dick and cock. dropped.
Time and place.
Time and place.
Yeah.
Listen,
Totally.
it's just. Oh, it was delicious. I
It
was
was
just
so
like, I was
entertaining.
absolutely gagged. Like, seriously, they grabbed my attention so quick as soon as they started to like give us tea on what other people were saying about his composition. Because they said that he presented it first and then it bombed. People hated it. And then
Yeah.
he had to like rework it and present it again. And how like people just kept on like sending each other letters being like, he's a good guy, but does he suck as a composer? And the fact that he became like a staple in classical music because he took so many risks that actually paid off. Like he failed multiple times, but he came back to it, reworked it,
True underdog
and it worked
story.
again. A true underdog. Yeah.
Yeah, literally definition of get over yourself, keep your head down, and keep working, and you'll get there.
Yeah. And so central to the work is the idée fixe. Idée fixe, we actually got to hear it in the symphony. Well, in the explanation part. They played that part. They were like, the idée fixe is gonna come up multiple times, which is the fixed idea. As you can fucking imagine. If you can figure that out on your own, I'm sure. Anyway, so it's the recurring theme of rising, longing, and falling despair, a depiction of gripping obsession, and the epitome of romanticism. Symphonie Fantastique is cast in 5 movements. The first, a dream. The second, a ball where the artist is haunted by the sight of his beloved. After the country scene, which is like in the field or whatever, he slips into a nightmare. Convinced that his love is spurned, the artist poisons himself with opium. He's so real for that.
Yeah. Dude, if you don't want me that much, don't even talk to me.
Don't even talk to me. You know what? Bring back
opium? Girl, I don't think it ever left.
No, I wanted to say bring back like knowing what you want.
Yeah.
Bring back actually longing.
Yeah.
Bring back earning. What? Not earning. What's
Yearning.
it? Yearning.
Yearning.
And not just for the gays, okay? Because the gays are still on it.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're a guy and you don't even like really want somebody, like what are you even doing?
Yeah, like just fuck off. Stop wasting people's time.
And I'm not saying like if you don't want anybody and you don't mess with people in general, like
Slay.
that's cool, slay. But if you're sleeping around or whatever and like you just do not like, are you even a person?
I don't know, dude.
I don't know.
At this point
You might not be, because like figure out what you want.
I know.
Just do something.
And
Like, can you be a person?
Yeah, like I just don't understand how any of you guys have, or anyone has really the energy to entertain people like that. You know?
Yeah,
Whatever.
it's kind of like, you know, whenever I find out that a guy's like, you know, had a lot of exes, he sleeps around, whatever, it's not like, oh my god, it's not that.
Yeah,
it's
actually
more
not.
like, damn, you got that much time?
Yeah.
You got nothing else going on?
Yeah. I don't care.
How's your family? Do you have a pet? Like, like what's
you got
happening?
friends or
like,
yeah,
work, hobbies?
a constant a serial situationship.
Have you maybe played an instrument since you were 5 and now you're in an orchestra
playing Berlioz?
Playing Berlioz, yeah. Have you done that? At least, like, don't be a loser. Have a passion.
Yeah.
Live like a person. You
Have
know.
a hobby.
Yeah, live and die like a person. Anyway, the dose of narcotic plunges him into a heavy sleep. He dreams that he has killed his beloved, that he is condemned, led to the scaffold, and is witnessing his own execution.
Like, that's crazy.
Dude, there's literally a theme, a part in the score, not the score, oh my god, I guess it is a score, whatever, where it's supposed to illustrate musically how his head is bouncing down the stairs from the scaffold.
It was just so good.
I was like, you know what?
Really got
Mayhaps
that
you're
in
an
it.
insult, but you got a point.
Yeah.
Like,
You did that.
you slayed.
You did
You
eat with those
slayed.
notes.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, honestly, if you slay hard enough, you can slay your way out of insultdom.
Yeah.
You can do it.
You can get out.
You can get out. You don't have to be with those losers. You can do it. You just gotta have some passion.
You know?
Maybe, don't actually kill anybody or yourself, but you could write a symphony about it, like a slayful one. Come on now.
I know. Instead of just harassing women online,
put that energy to use.
Yeah, make a fucking symphony about love.
Symphony. Start a cult.
Also, they did a really
Actually,
good...
no, that's too lazy. Cult, it's too lazy.
They also did really, like, the notes that they played to mimic, like, the ghosts and spirits and witches cackling at him.
Girl,
was so good.
You know what? We should talk about was it kazoo or whatever the fuck they used? No.
Kazoo!
I don't know what it is.
It was kind of like a kazoo.
Yeah.
No, it was like, fuck, I can't remember what it was, but it was a very unique
It was a wind...
Oh, yeah, like a wind instrument.
Very
small.
This was in the third movement. And listen, you should honestly go listen to it if you want to. And especially it's nice to listen to it if you have some visuals too, to just kind of give you like an idea. So the first one is the dream. It's just a dream. It's really beautiful. She's like gorgeous, yada yada. The second one is like the ball, and he's being haunted by her, the image of her. Oh my god. The third one is him in the field, and this is such a slay because they literally explained to us that this was like the first time someone put one of the performers, one of the instruments, one of the people who play the instrument, they put them off stage far enough to create an illusion of two voices screaming towards each other across the field. So you would get that effect of like kind of like having this like conversation,
like you're right in the middle of it.
They literally, like, when they played it, the guy was literally behind us somewhere, and it was so interesting to hear it kind of being echoed, because the piece, that specific theme gets repeated, so one of them kind of screams to the other, and then that person screams back, and they kind of like communicate. It was so interesting to actually see that. And the thing is, to us, to the modern person, this doesn't seem that crazy. We've seen concerts, for example, where a performer will show up out of nowhere somewhere in the middle of the crowd and start singing like one of their B-sides that everyone loves or whatever the fuck, right? We got used to this tech advancement, and we got used to big rooms and a lot of tech stuff involved and whatever. But it's so interesting to hear and see where it began, this experimentation, where it actually started and how it was implemented. Because the reason why a lot of his ideas didn't get the praise was because he was the first one.
To do it.
And it wasn't like, it wasn't normal to have a story. It wasn't normal to write it in a program and be like, read this shit, you know? You gotta read it to understand it, you know? It wasn't the norm. Now it's the norm to give something to people in the audience, for example, if you go to any show, at any gallery, any theater, anything, right? But back then it wasn't a thing. They just gave you information on the music, not the story. There wasn't such a thing as a story for a symphony. Then on top of that, he did that thing with the kazoo. It's not a kazoo, but it's a wind instrument. So the march to the scaffold, the first of those visions is the march to the scaffold. In it, the artist is executed for the murder of his beloved. In his dream, he kills her. Crazy. Like, that's why we were like, that bitch is fucked up. The march echoes the sound of the real life bands that would accompany the condemned to the execution. The military band escorts the prisoner to the enthusiastic cheers of the strings. So like the people are like cheering.
And you can really like,
you can really actually hear it.
It's like very visceral.
And in the last instant of his life, the artist thinks of his beloved. Her theme begins, but is truncated by the blade of the guillotine. Like the Ide fix starts to play, and then it goes
they do the sounds like that.
The artist's head bounces down the steps, the drums roll, and the crowds roar.
Yeah, that part from the guillotine.
That was such a slay.
Yeah, the guillotine to even the rolling of the head, like how they did that with the drums was so good.
It was so good. I literally remembered that part from my class.
Yeah.
Because he was like talking about that, and I was like, I will forever remember that some motherfucker wrote a symphony where his head is bouncing down the stairs.
Yeah,
Like,
he like really wrote,
that's metal.
Yeah, he wrote that in.
That's like actually crazy. I love it.
Like, is this when he experienced ego death?
I think so. I think that's why he could actually get her later.
Yeah,
Because
totally.
he became a person.
Yeah, so real. Through his hypothetical...
He killed the author.
Yeah.
And he finally...
That's actually so deep.
So deep, actually.
That's actually so deep. Though.
Dream of a Witch's Sabbath. The fifth movement is a satanic dream. The artist sees himself in the midst of a ghastly crowd of sorcerers and monsters assembled for his funeral. The air is filled with strange groans, bursts of laughter, and actually it sounds like laughter.
Yes,
we were
like,
so gagged, like literally,
like actual witch
like
cackling.
a cackle.
Yeah,
It was
so good.
crazy. The thing is, like, when they were explaining it, they actually played the parts for us to like, oh, this is the witch's laugh. This is.
Yeah,
it was so
great.
fun to listen to it afterwards because we were like, oh my god, the bitch is laughing. We can hear it.
Like you can really pick it up.
We were like, they
like
are dancing on his grave.
You hear the bones, like the
bones. Oh my god,
yeah.
the bones, bitch. Okay, so yeah, so
it just like tickled my ears.
It was so good. So suddenly, oh wait, the air is filled with strange groans, bursts of laughter, shouts, and echoes. Suddenly, the artist's beloved appears as a witch, her theme distorted into spiteful parody. A vast church bell begins to chime the peal of death. Bassoons and tubas bark out the Dies Irae, the traditional funeral chant. The orchestra divides into teams to enact a sinister ritual. The groaning theme from the beginning of the movement transforms into a merry Black Sabbath dance. The form of the dance is the fugue. After struggling to master the form for the Prix de Rome, Berlioz chose the fugue to represent the vision of hell. The music whips into a frenzy as it bears the soul of the artist into his damnation. His beloved gloats over the scene. Such an ending had never been heard before. At the conclusion of the second premiere, the audience erupted in applause. So they finally got it.
Yeah.
Harriet Smithson finally understood that Symphonie Fantastique was about her. She agreed to receive Berlioz. Regardless of all of that, there's another thing that was so revolutionary about it, and that is in the fifth part, the part that we actually just like mentioned, that sounded like the bones, or like dancing on bones, or like playing on bones, or whatever the fuck. It was actually the string section of the orchestra flipping their
bows.
The bows?
Yeah, the bows.
The bows, and playing with the wooden part.
Yeah.
With the wood.
That was cool.
Which was literally the first time that's ever been done. As far as like they told us that. The information
come from the symphony, don't quote us.
Yeah. So it was the first time someone has done that, and it was like really a crazy experience for people to hear that sound, because it sounds slightly grating. It sounds like bones.
Yeah.
It sounds slightly hollow and creaky.
Yeah.
And it has this like splintery feeling.
Yeah.
Just kind of like how like bones make that. Like it just has that.
You could. How I imagine
texturally perfect.
Yeah, how I imagined it in my head was like just like a rack of rib bones and somebody playing it with another bone. Like that's what it felt like.
Yes.
Yeah, you just have, like, a
exactly.
visceral
Except it
reaction
doesn't
to
feel
it.
as much of like you know how like sometimes in cartoons they do that,
Yeah.
and the sound is kind of like the xylophone or whatever the
Yeah.
fuck. It doesn't sound like that. It just sounds like how you would imagine a bone on top of a bone would sound. You know what I mean? I was just sitting there like thinking, to us it doesn't seem so crazy. Because we are so used to weird ass music, weird ass shit, to the point where noise music is more normal to us than something very straightforward, right?
Yeah, totally.
But back then, this was literally the first time someone did something so fucking weird. in the theater, in the symphony. It just so fun to think about that, and he was just like, "Bro, like, yeah, so I'm dead. She's dancing on my grave. This is the sound of my bones."
Yeah.
Fuck.
But you can also imagine how insane that must have been during that time.
Like,
you know?
literally,
Because we could still, even though we are so used to like pretty much jaded and like unfazed by crazy shit, like we were still so like enamored by it, listening to it. It was still so like, it made you feel something, you know?
It did. It actually did. That's why I was like, okay, you might have actually slayed your way out of inceldom.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. You might have actually done it, boy.
Yeah, I mean, he did, and in the end, he did get the
And
girl.
he did the girl.
He did get the girl, and
He got the girl.
I'm assuming he did.
No.
The girl.
That was... Okay, Freudian slip.
Yeah.
First of all. Second of all...
Dude, not Succession and Did the Girl. Why were those both your Freudian slips? Girl, what do you have on your mind? Get your head out the gutters.
Anyway, so... Yeah, it was a slayful experience, first of all. Love the explanation. I can't find those quotes because I don't have the actual, like, thing that they read, the script. But they gave us, like, quotes of people literally talking about him being shady, like, writing to each other, like, his conversation with someone who was roasting him back or something. Like, it was really, really fun to also have that life context, to
totally.
really give it that kick, you know. And obviously, like, yeah, like, he was trying to get the girl, yada yada, but to me what actually made it more realistic was how, like, while he was working, there were people who were roasting him and being like, I don't know, boy, that doesn't sound good at all. Like, that's kind of like so real, actually.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's just the one constant in art, you know.
Yeah, like, when you're trying to do something new, even if it has a lot of elements that other people have tried before or something like that, but if you're trying anything new and you can't just pull up an image or pull up a video, pull up a film or whatever to just show it to someone and be like, I want to do this exact thing but about this theme, if you can't do that, oftentimes people will look at you funny until it actually starts to come together. And even when it's coming together, most people who are not artists are still not going to be able to put it together until it's done. And even then there's going to be obviously people who don't get it, but in general, when it's just starting to, like, kind of take form, some artists can look at it and be like, oh, I see where you're going. But there's always going to be that point where you're, like, trying to do something completely new and you're explaining it and no one is getting it, and you just have to, like, spend so much time to just get the groundwork done so people can at least, so you can show something to people, being like, so imagine this plus
so
this plus this.
Totally. That was my whole experience with university, because I was like, not to toot my own horn, but I was really one of the first people to start doing digital and 3D
avatar stuff.
Yeah, 3D modeling in the school.
Yeah, and there's nowhere, no one you can come up to and be like, I want to do this thing that you've done. Because no one there was the one who was doing it.
Yeah,
and there wasn't even many people in the world who were already, like, into that shit in terms of art. So it was kind of like, you're on your own, buddy. Like,
and
figure
the
it out.
amount of roasting that I
and
got.
bad roasting too, you know.
Yeah,
sometimes a good roast is really fucking helpful.
Yeah, I agree. Just
saying.
I eventually got there when I started to match, like, things started to come together and people were like, wait a second, she kind of cooked there.
Listen,
you know?
that's the thing. I think with a lot of artists, like, what I kind of dislike about some artists is that for a long time they don't know how to give criticism that's actually useful. And I don't mean like, constructive, only no, I mean useful.
I agree.
I don't give a fuck if you're mean about it. Just be useful. Don't be a nuisance. Like, don't waste my time if you're gonna be annoying me, right? Because the thing is about, like, what I would suggest to everyone is think about everything in your artwork, make it as bulletproof as possible, so when you're actually asking for criticism and someone brings something up, you can immediately know whether it's useful or not, because their feedback is going to either, like, you're going to immediately know whether you agree with it or not.
Yeah, totally.
Because sometimes some criticism, even if they have formulated it and they actually thought about it and they're trying to be useful, sometimes you're still not going to agree with it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you conceptually don't align. It's the same thing as, like, in sciences, when you believe into one theory and another person is in another theory and you're trying to prove your theories or whatever, and you're never going to align because you're literally working in parallel lanes.
Yes.
So
exactly.
It happens in the arts as well. You have to just like accept it, that some people will give you criticism that you don't not accept, you just don't agree with. You will, and that's why you need to develop your practice really well, your artworks really well, really know yourself and your work. So when you ask for feedback, it's not going to break your spirit, but actually be useful.
Yeah, and it's not going to morph your work into someone else's work.
Exactly.
That's important, yeah.
Because that's one of the things that will be very, very difficult, is that because you don't have a lot of experience, you're going to start molding your work to fit somebody else. And it's going to be really difficult at first. You will have that issue for a while where you're going to be either fixing something you shouldn't be fixing, or refusing to fix something you should fix.
Yeah.
It also will happen, you know. And I think you just have to have patience with yourself, that it's gonna happen. Yeah. And even though, like, sometimes I look back on my work that, like, I would change some technical things about, for example, or whatever, I am glad to look back and see merit.
Yeah.
Like, I look back and I'm like, I was cooking. I might have not had enough skill to get this, like, print done right, and there's, like, a line here or whatever because I didn't, like, do the formatting right or whatever the fuck. But I can see that, oh, I was really doing something here, or this was actually a great idea. I should do the same format but do it with the new themes now as, like, a person who has a lot more skill and stuff like that. Like, it really does do something for you. And also all the ideas that you write down when you're, like, in your late teens, early 20s, whatever, you're gonna think for a bit that they suck when you're about 24. And then you're gonna come back around.
Canon event.
Yeah, canon
totally.
event. You're gonna look at your sketches, like, at your research sketchbook, which is gonna be massive with a bunch of fucking papers stuck in it.
Yeah. Yep.
And you're gonna go through it, and even if you don't agree with this shit, it will spark new ideas, because it's the person that you understand so well, and their ideas actually fit into your life so well that they will, like, push you through any
blockages.
block. Yeah, any creative block.
Yeah, it's also so fun now. I, like, still have some of my sketchbooks, and it's, like, so fun to just look back at it, especially in my first year, like, the shit that I was writing in first year and ideas I was thinking first year, because it was so untainted by being in art school, you know what I mean? And, like, I relate to those ideas more because I'm like, that's me.
See?
But, like, I just, yes, but the technical skill is there. The way that I can, like, articulate is better now.
Yeah.
But, like,
it's
pure.
untainted.
Yeah.
It's pure. It's actually coming from the soul, from you, instead of from your professor, from your classmates, from people who you want to get to pay you. And I actually think that we should talk about ideas, I guess, ideation, and, like, those tactics, and which ones actually work, which ones don't.
We could talk about like the process of creating artwork. Criticism is a huge one. Like, I feel like going through critique.
But we need to remember that we have talked about some of it, that we shouldn't repeat ourselves.
Oh no, not about critique stories, but more how, like, because I definitely agree with you. There's, like, critique that's so ego driven, and, like, they don't need to say it. You know what I mean? You literally do not have to say this. You just want to flex that you know big words or something like that, or
oh my god,
you're, like, morally sound or ethically sound.
And the funniest thing is, actually, you know what, when I get criticisms online from people who don't know how to give critiques, like, I can tell when someone is not a good critic. Yeah, because
totally,
I had to deal with professional criticism every single day in school. That was our class. Like, being an artist is being criticized the entire day. It's not like being like, oh, you didn't get that, like, when you put 2 and 2 together and you got 5, you did it wrong, it's actually 4. Instead of that, it's like, so what I want to say about you fundamentally as a person.
Can you imagine what that would do to you?
Like, every single day it's a roast, it's a takedown, it's whatever the fuck. Good. It's so good that I honestly don't really fold easily, because
you gotta have
the amount of things I wasn't agreeing with. If I wouldn't have the personality that I have, it would beat me down so hard that I would just be, like, silent the entire time.
AKA me. That's what happened to me.
That's what they did to my sister.
But now look at me. Now I've literally turned around. You know what? This is the thing. If you don't, Lisa had tough skin. from the get-go. If you don't have that, you're gonna be fucked.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, you're gonna end up like me, who had to be forced into developing it. Like, there is no way that you will not.
Yeah,
like,
you're gonna have to.
But
you're
now,
have to.
if someone were to critique me now,
yeah,
oh, I could take it so well.
Girl, I am gonna actually next episode I will give you so many cures for
how to get back up from bad critique.
From a bad critique, but also cures for like insecurity, cures for not feeling good enough, and other things like that. Because bitch, I can teach you some ways to logically get out of it so quick.
Yeah,
because
this
it's
is true.
Stupid.
This is true. Lisa has done that for me. It actually changed my brain chemistry. Like, I don't feel like I barely have imposter syndrome. I'm not on that humble shit. Fuck that humble shit. Like, you guys are sick. Like, don't give a fuck. Yeah, don't give a fuck about what anyone says. Yeah, we'll share those in the next episode. That'd be sick.
Yeah, actually.
It actually really helps. Especially if you're creative. Especially. Because people are coming for you.
They will be coming for your neck the entire time. Just get ready.
Yeah, it's just part of the work.
It's part of the work. It's just what it is, honestly. It's kind of like doing anything else, any other job that requires you to take criticism. Like, if you're a manager of like a group of people and you have to take responsibility for the work that you guys do together, and you go to people and you listen to a bunch of criticism, it's kind of the same thing, but it's like every day. It's very personal.
Yeah,
it's about your trauma usually.
Yeah,
and it's to your face, and it is usually like, it's oftentimes filtered through their ego, so it can even be more insulting that way.
It's like an ego war.
Yeah.
Anyways,
thank you for listening.
Bye.